Yo, yo, yo. What up, what up? Let's see. I'm not sure how we're going to start this one. But once again, it's your boy Ronny Llama out here having a conversation with another good friend of mine. And I'm going to have my good friend introduce herself today.
I'm Raeesa, and what do you want me to say? Just like about myself and what do I do?
I mean, yeah,
Or
however you introduce yourself.
all right, well, I'm Raeesa. I'm an architect. That is how I like to introduce myself. Um, and we're here in New York City.
Nice, nice. So, as she just said, we're kind of just gonna cut right to it. We're in New York City for the day, pretty much. Ball of shit. And we kind of I talked to Raisa because I wanted to have this conversation with her because something stuck to me personally when she told me, or when we were talking about going to New York for a day or whatever. And Raisa just recently received a new job. Dope ass job. I ain't gonna give the details unless she wants to, but congratulations to that. And something she likes to do, and I know I like to do this as well. Before we jump into something new, whether it's a new job, maybe school or something like that, we like to feel inspired. Something me and her like to do is, for example, come to New York. Literally the act of coming to New York, which is both our favorite cities. Just being here, whether for me personally, it's the hustle or whatever, but we feel inspired, and I think that's the conversation we want to start off today. And we're gonna have a couple different parts. We're gonna start off. We just got into New York. We're gonna give you the reason why we feel inspired. Like I said, I gave you a quick intro as to why I feel inspired by New York. It's usually the hustle that's out here. Everywhere you look, it's like someone's out here working and trying to get to that next dollar.
For me, I was born here, so I have this attachment because of birth itself. I was raised here for a few years myself until I was 14. So New York is home for me. Alongside, it's as an architect, it's a very inspiring place to be. Every time I start a new job or I feel unmotivated, I find myself coming to New York because it's the grind for me. You could just go to a coffee shop here in New York and you just see people living their life, but it's they love their grind and you see it, and that's so inspiring for me. As someone who also has a grind in her life.
Right, right, right. Now, speaking of, I mean, we're only here on a visit, right? Do you feel like, and this is a bit going off topic, but still on the whole inspirational thing, do you feel like sometimes you may have to go somewhere and live somewhere to have like the full, long-lasting inspiration that you need? Because I know a lot of us, me for example, when I think of New York inspirational, that's where I like to go. It gives me inspiration. At the same time, I'm also thinking and low-key planning like at some point I'm gonna move out here because I want
Same.
to be in that realm of inspiration 24/7. So you said same. So what else makes you feel that way, or
Uh,
why?
like I said same to also moving here. That's what I was agreeing to. But for me, it's what you were saying earlier. You do have to live here to understand or to fully experience the hustle or the this city has that motto like big dreams come true here, and you can't see that until you live here and you try to do something here. That's when you feel it. You can come here and visit, but you're not going to get that same experience. For example, as you know, I went to Europe for a year, going from city to city, living in it, being with the people, feeling the culture, feeling their like everyday life, and that is the best way to really like be inspired in New York. The same way what I did in Europe, like living in it, experiencing it, talking to people, networking. Like that's the way you would be able to really feel inspired here and motivated here.
Word, word.
Yeah.
Now this specific trip, we're both here together, so it may be a little bit different as to what we end up finding inspiration from. The only reason I say that is because, or let me ask this question: if you were to come here by yourself, right? Um, what are some go-to places or go-to things that you would do that you know every time you come to New York, you know you do that and you'll just get that inspiration that you're looking for?
Well, as an architect or a designer, I come for the architecture. So whenever I come here, I go to Hudson Yards, where basically all the happening architects are working. You know, that's where you'll find the most inspirational buildings, because anybody that's anybody in the architecture world right now, that's where they're developing all their work. So I tend to go to Hudson Yards to just see what are the new developments that are taking place, or I'll go to the Village and look at the historic buildings in New York and kind of do like a comparison in my head. But I kind of like here when I come to New York, I do plan my locations around buildings and like design that I'm looking forward to, because at the end of the day, when I come to New York, I come here to be inspired not only for the grind but for the design inspiration. So when I go
Right,
back, I can feel motivated to do my do my shit.
right. That's what's up.
Yeah.
And I could tell that you, it's like whenever and wherever like you come to New York, like you try to gain the inspiration from any opportunity that you can. Like, we copped this hotel that we're staying in, and you didn't just grab like anything. You kind of put the effort in to make sure you got a nice view of, your buildings. You
Yeah.
feel me? Like that within itself, it's like shit. We could have a terrible trip, God forbid.
Let's not
Outside.
jinx ourselves,
Yeah,
Ronnie.
yeah, no, of course not. But like at least at the end of all of it, we could say we had this nice view.
Yeah, that's
And that within itself is like so inspirational. I mean, I'm literally looking at what is that?
the skyline.
The
That's the
sky,
Empire State
the
Building.
Empire State Building, the thing with the two evil eyes,
Yeah.
and then the little square building, it look like a fucking Jenga thing.
These buildings do have names, Ronnie.
I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I think the last thing I wanted to touch on before we head out on our adventure for the day is what's something you do? Because again, like we were talking, unless you live here or you live wherever you gain your inspiration from, how can you bring it back? For example, how do we bring it back to Boston and are able to like keep it with us for longer than the 24 hours after we get there?
I have a habit of sketching, and I always bring a notebook with me no matter where I'm going. Usually a plain notebook, a skinny one, small, that can fit in my smallest bag. And I bring a pen, and that's usually what I do. When I come to New York, even if it's for a business trip or even if it's to come see family, I try to gain that motivation. I come here with that notebook, with the paper, a pencil, whatever I need, utensils, and I will draw. Like I will sit in a park and draw and make quick notes. And these are 5 minute sketches. These are not beautiful aesthetical drawings. This is me understanding and analyzing something in 5 minutes. So that's what I do, because if I forget it, I have this notebook to refer to.
Right.
That's how I make it last longer than 24 hours.
It's like a constant reminder
It's a
of the
constant
inspiration.
reminder, yeah. And I have a notebook just for New York. You know what I
Right.
mean? And every time I come, I add to it. Every time it just keeps building up.
Word, word, word. Yeah, I think I'm probably the same way, like when it comes to my music. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll make something while we're here, for example, but the second I get back, the first thing I'm gonna do is make a song, given the feelings or whatever happened out here. And, the song name might have New York in it or whatever the fuck we end up doing in these days or this day that we're here. And I do the same thing, like every time I go work on that song or after I release it and I'm listening to that song, it's the same thing, it brings me back to this moment when I was inspired. So like, I think something that we both just said or like can agree on is that,
Note
take
taking.
notes. Yeah,
Yeah.
take notes. When you're inspired, write that, jot that shit down because,
Because
we
you'll
do
forget it.
forget. We do forget.
You'll definitely forget it. This is from personal experience. There were a lot of times when I was in Europe, I wasn't in that habit of taking notes or making those mental notes and taking those mental sketches and drawing all that out. I didn't do all that, and so I feel like now I missed out on all those things that I could look back at. Like now I don't have that. Like when I look at my notebooks, I don't have the all the because I started doing it like 6 months in my Europe trip, and I was there for a year. So those 6 months, all those valuable things that I learned were almost forgotten because I didn't take notes. And that's really how you go back to something you learned if you take notes. Because you're not going to retain. I mean, you will retain it, but you're not going to remember it. So you have to have something to refer to.
Right. Right.
Feel
I
me?
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes for anybody, really. Even the best of minds out there that, tend to remember everything right off the bat. Like, I think the importance of the note taking is the detailing.
Right.
Sometimes you forget some very important details that could be key. Um, me personally, I think I'm done with these questions for this first part. You
Okay.
got anything to ask? Anything to add?
Well, actually, yeah. Since you asked me that question about what I do, right? What do you do? Like when you come to New York, what is your inspiration? Where do you go? What are your places of motivation? Because mine are so different from yours, being
Yeah.
that we do different things.
I think me personally, I'm just so much of an adventurer. Whereas like, obviously New York is fucking huge, right? So like my thing is my inspiration comes just from like literally seeing new things, like walking new streets that I have never walked before,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. You feel me? Like
I like that. I like that.
I, you feel me? Like just walking down streets without a GPS and
Right.
knowing damn well I don't know anywhere of like where I'm going, but when it gets to the point where I need to know where I gotta get back to, whether it's the hotel or whatever, then I'll pull out a GPS. But while I'm out here, it's just it's a sense of like freedom almost.
Yeah, like
It's like I just feel so free. Um, and it's like not only do I feel physically free, but also mentally free. Like, of course, this is a bit of a mini vacation, so naturally I'm kind of freeing my mind as well while I'm out here
of your worries,
of my worries and shit
right?
like that and
Responsibilities.
responsibilities, all that stuff. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
I'm out here and I don't have to like go out and then worry about like, oh, I can only be out for a couple hours because I got work later on today or anything like that. It's just straight up like I'm just out here like enjoying whatever comes my way. And like that's just always been the experience I have when I come to New York, whether it's to visit family or whatever, whatever, whatever. It's just always on some like super random shit. And I've always been someone that's just like super random. Planning is
Yeah.
cool and all, but my real inspiration where I really feel comfortable is just off that random,
Yeah, I'm a very
gut feeling kind of thing.
I completely relate to that. I feel like spontaneous decisions are my best decisions,
Hmm.
and to tell them, basically, just letting you guys know, we literally made the decision to go to New York last night.
Yeah,
Last night, and it was the
literally.
most random, spontaneous decision, and it's great. We're here
Yeah.
now.
I mean, you feel me? And that within itself, the spontaneousness of that, you feel me, had me in the mood of like, oh, let me be spontaneous as well.
Yeah.
I didn't even tell Raisa, you feel me? I packed my laptop, my mic, my interface, and all that so we can have this, you feel me? Like, we weren't even in New York, but just the idea of coming to New York, I was already feeling inspired
Inspired.
to work and be creative. And look at us now. We already doing it.
Yeah,
First 10
so
minutes into
yeah,
the city, we already doing it.
that's dope though.
And we're going to keep on doing it. But until then, we'll get back to y'all later on today, maybe tomorrow. Who knows? Depends how drunk we get. But we're definitely going to enjoy our time. We're definitely going to have fun. We hope you guys are doing the same wherever you are. And we hope you guys are staying inspired.